This is one of those matches that could definitely go on a while if Method wants to take it into the late game.
Yeah, both these teams are going to need a good defense if they want to win here. We see them moving forward. They're not going to go for the stab, instead dropping that Pet Nova. We're going to see the target selection here. Garrote Silence onto Rosita, Deep Freeze onto Gorecki. Jamili getting Shadow Fury shut down on that Polymorph, not able to chain the CC onto Gorecki. Now line of sight and getting the Riptides up. Death from above onto Rosita, trying to trade a little bit early burst. Now going for the Shadow Dance, trying to give him right here, down to 40%. Gorecki caught into a full blind on his Ascendance, holding his trinket here. They might have to trade the Ice Block. We now see the Dark Soul coming out from Chanimals. Good Nerve Strike application from Peekaboo to reduce that damage coming out from Chanimals' Dark Soul. Rosita dipping low, down to 50%. The Smoke Bomb comes down, but at the same time, Peekaboo is down at 35%. Starship has a lot of work ahead of him as he pops that Nature's Vigil, goes for the NS. It doesn't really do too much. Peekaboo still down at 35%, now stabilizing through the Genesis heals of Starship as we see both teams equalizing.
Yeah, that was pretty scary for Tempo Storm right there, with Peekaboo having to pull way, way far behind, even though Method was not playing that offensively positioning-wise. Now, Peekaboo is going to start right back onto Rosita Jones, who blinks out of the way just a little bit, trying to get some CC on, put himself into position. You can see Starship just constantly switching into bear form to try to stop those incoming polymorphs and doing a great job. The Deep does come out, but he's already in bear form, so there's not going to be any follow-up poly. However, the Fear does land, and now it seems like they're going to try to keep those CC goings, but he's able to blink out. Now, Jamili taking a lot of damage right there. Got kicked on his poly, too, so he's not able to stop anything from Gorecki, who isn't that stunned. But look at the damage onto Rosita Jones having to blink back. With the Deep Freeze onto Gorecki on top of that, too, with the Nerve Strike, this is just an immense amount of CC onto the healer.
Yeah, Rosita using that gateway effectively, able to hold on to his Ice Block as Gorecki connects a big healing surge. Now going for a Lava Burst here, trying to trade out some damage. Deep Freeze onto Starship. They're making a Druid swap. A bit of an unexpected swap. Caught in the Shadow Fury, getting 100 O'd through Barskin. No trinket. And that was so unexpected. I can see the startled.
He's going to try to get his gateway down. He does like the bottom to mid pillar connection right there with it. And of course, that is Starship. That is going to be not on the unit frames, but you can see him, his unit frame, or his nameplate. So just watch for that during this match, as both Jamili and Peekaboo just kind of hiding out, waiting a little bit. They know that Rosita Jones is going to be trying to get them out with that Blizzard. Doesn't able to, as they're going to open up onto Chanimals, as there's a lot of CC coming out already. Gorecki in the Deep Freeze with the bash onto Chanimals, and who's going to trinket it instantly because he does have that Dark Soul running and he wants to get as much use from that as possible.
Yeah, we saw the Deep Freeze out onto Starship, but Tempo Storm was able to deny that incoming polymorph. He pre-Iron Barks the Fear. Well played from Starship early on, keeping his team really stable through that first Dark Soul out from Chanimals. Now we see the full blind onto Gorecki. Ice Lance is connecting onto Rosita. He's desperately spamming that Spell Steal button, trying to steal whatever healing he can from the other team. Gorecki trading that Spirit Link, efficiently trading there, not going to be trinketing any CC. Ascendance has already been used as well. We see Chanimals caught into a kidney shot. What's going to follow that up? It doesn't look like they have anything just yet. Peekaboo moving forward here, trying to just attack whatever he can without overextending here. He does not have Cloak for 44 remaining seconds.
And you can see Chanimals trying to walk his way on over to try to get some fears onto Starship, who's going to try to go into bear form before the fear lands because he knows a poly would definitely follow that. But they're going to just do a lot of damage to Peekaboo to try to force him away. But look at him just march on through. Actually, there they go. This is what they wanted to do. He's going to attack the Warlock Pet because he doesn't have any other good target at this point. Taking a bit of damage right there. Of course, Jamili's trinket is down, but Peekaboo still has his.
Yeah, and he's going to want to hold on to it with that cloak. He can pair it up, but he's going for the kidney shot. Shadow Dance, Smoke Bomb onto Rosita, caught in the center of the bridge. Gorecki trying to position towards him to heal him. He might have to trade an Ice Block here. Nice Shadow Fury out from Chanimals, peeling Peekaboo and Jamili. Will allow him to hold on to it for a few more seconds as we see the Deep Freeze onto Gorecki. Jamili getting locked on that polymorph. Well done by Rosita to interrupt that polymorph coming out from Jamili. We now see the Iron Bark fading. He's still down to half HP. Starship is having a hard time recovering Jamili's HP right now, still at 50%, trying to spam some Genesis heals to stabilize him. Method are looking like they're in a good position here, but nothing too major has happened.
Yeah, and that was a Nature Swiftness forced out of Starship just a little while ago, so he was able to heal through this damage even... Whoa, wow. And just as I say that, you see Peekaboo really forcing that damage because that didn't even include a Shadow Dance in that play right there.
Yeah, that's a scary moment, and Shadow Dance is coming up in 10 seconds. So they're going to deep up Peekaboo in the backline with a Shadow Fury onto Starship. They chain it into the Fear. This could be his trinket. Peekaboo trading that Cloak of Shadows smartly here to reduce that incoming magic damage from both of these wizards. We can see Chanimals positioned more aggressively. Peekaboo instantly swapping over, always using that kidney shot onto Chanimals, trying to get whatever advantage he can with crowd control as the Shadow Dance gets popped. Big damage coming through. Hypo is still up for one more second, down at 30%. He does not want to trade his second Ice Block this early in the game. We see Jamili just going Ice Lance after Ice Lance onto Rosita at the moment now, having survived. Chanimals pops the Dark Soul, another Deep Freeze onto Peekaboo. He's just going to trinket it. He wants to keep the aggression rolling here. Gorecki needs to stabilize Rosita. He's still down to 30% HP. Jamili getting pre-Iron Bark. They want to keep him offensive. They want to keep him on top of Rosita.
All right, now Peekaboo is trying to get over to Gorecki for the blind, and he does land it, as Gorecki is just going to sit through it, which is really great right now because both Chanimals and Rosita Jones are perfectly healthy at this point, as we do have Jamili who is going to blink in and try to get the poly, and he does get it on Peekaboo, but that does break early. And so with Jamili down to half and with Rosita Jones just trying to crowd control Peekaboo, it's really shutting him down, as they hit the Fear next onto him also. So it looks like they still want to hit Jamili as much as possible. Whoa. And look at that burst damage just coming out from the team of the MLS.
Yeah, that's going to be the first block out from Jamili, now tied on ice blocks between Tempo Storm and Method. Here comes the setup. Cheap shots on everyone. They're trying to force the second ice block, but Gorecki says no. They interrupt the incoming CC. He's going to trade that Spirit Link. Still has one more available, and his Trinket Method are looking very good here in game number 3 thus far, but Rosita is down to 30%. How are they going to deal with this pressure and deal with this situation? Gorecki trying to pick him back up, gets that Earth Shield back up. He is going to receive a huge healing surge and stabilize almost instantly. Now we see some defensive polymorphs onto Peekaboo, trying to exploit that melee DPS positioning as they make a setup onto Jamili. Starship caught into a deep freeze, trying to chain that. Chanimals there with the follow-up Fear, forcing the Trinket out from Starship. That Iron Bark is not going to be enough. He needs to start spamming some rejuice out, stabilize Jamili, and he has done so now. Gorecki's mana down to 70, Starship down to 60. I think we're going to see a very long game from here.
Yeah, Jamili building those icicles, just frost bolting into his target right now. Wasn't doing a lot of damage. Peekaboo is kind of by himself standing on top of Gorecki. Gets that kidney out, followed by the Garrote. Here's a triple CC. Instantly forces the ice block. They knew that this was coming because Gorecki wanted to hold on to that Trinket.
Yeah, and they tried to rotate the pressure onto Jamili. They just weren't able to. Peekaboo's always there to shut it down. As we see the Deep Freeze onto Starship, they land the Ring of Frost. This could be the second ice block out from Jamili. He blinks away. He's trying to kite away. Ice Nova connects out from Rosita. He smells blood in the water, and that's going to be the ice block out from Starship. The Nature Swiftness used as well, but he cancels it immediately, going in onto Rosita Jones. Caught in a kidney shot. Full blind onto Gorecki. He's got Trinket available. He trinkets out of the blind into a cheap shot. Rosita doesn't have a block for one more second. Cold Snap coming up in the nick of time. They drop the smoke bomb. They're trying to get the block, and they're going to force it out. But Rosita Jones was 1 second away from death.
Wow, with that bomb on top too, Gorecki is able to heal him up, but Jamili is probably going to be the target they're going to hit, as Chanimals is trying to keep Peekaboo into combat so he doesn't get the re-stealth off, as Peekaboo is going to hide below, gets his stealth off. Let's see what he can do with it. Oh, as a great job of Rosita Jones breaking him out with Cone of Cold, as it's going to force Peekaboo to run. Now this is interesting. This is with Starship at around 50% mana right now. Gorecki does have the lead mana-wise. However, we've seen a lot of back and forth with the blocks from both mages. Of course, Jamili having to block real recently too, which means he's not going to have another block for about 38 seconds for the cooldown of that Cold Snap.
Yeah, but they're using the Deep Freeze on the Peekaboo once again. I think that's the third all game. Nice reaction out from Starship. We see Method taking a different strategy here, triple dotting Tempo Storm, and I wonder if they're going to try and rot them down. Both teams are running on fumes in terms of cooldowns right now. Rosita getting pressured, actually goes for an invisibility, but Peekaboo's going to find him. Here comes the Shadow Dance out from him. Death from above, trying to finish the game. Rosita gates away on that Death from above, trying to kite this out. Starship going for a clone, trying to get the offensive clone, but Chanimals immediately locking it out. Now a half sheep onto Starship. They need to chain this CC if they want to take Jamili down. His block is not available for 2 more seconds. Coming up now in 1 second. Starship, though, is no longer crowd controlled, choosing to use his Trinket to hold on Jamili's last block.
Yeah, and that Deep Freeze forced a Trinket, and that was a great play by Method right now. They just need to continue. It seems like they're slowly dismantling the defensive cooldowns of Tempo Storm. They just need to keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. You can see Starship now moving towards this top of the bridge. Maybe going to be looking for some Cyclones here. Gorecki's Trinket's coming up in 10 seconds. Tempo Storm needs to do something now. We see Death from above coming through onto Rosita. Where's the crowd control to follow it up? Frozen Orb is available. Shadow Dance is coming up. They're going for the kill onto Rosita Jones. Gorecki's in a good position. Drops that Spirit Link preemptively as we see Jamili caught into a Fear. Starship caught into a Sheep. Good cross CC out from Method. Peekaboo is completely isolated. Trades that Cloak of Shadows to reduce all that magic damage coming onto him.
All right, now Rosita Jones blinking taking that kidney right there and using the last seconds of his Icy Veins to try to get a couple spell steals out right there. As we see a full blind onto Gorecki right now with the Garrote onto Rosita Jones. Let's see if they can make something happen with this as the blind is about to fade right now with the cheap shot. Following it, Rosita just taking so much damage. The Link barely sneaking its way in right there, but look at the life of Method. They are not out of the woods just quite yet.
Yeah, Ascendance has to be used from Gorecki. A great cooldown to top his entire team here. Jamili has one more block available, but Starship has no trinket. Method have one more chance to strike here with Dampening stacking ominously in Tempo Storm's favor. But Rosita Jones has some fortunate that his ice block is coming up in about 12 seconds. They have 10 seconds to execute a kill on Rosita right now. Gorecki caught into it deep. Good fear to shut down Jamili CC onto Gorecki. They're not going to have to trade that ice block in this setup attempt. A haunt now onto Jamili. Icicles flying through as well. A nice capacitor totem onto Peekaboo. Just going to be mitigating some combo point generation there. Lava Burst being tossed out as well. Rosita's under fire though. Gorecki caught into a half stun. The block is available. He cold snaps for it. He's holding on to it. He's trying to go aggressive here. It might backfire. He's down at 30%. Gorecki not crowd control, trying to heal through it, trying to hold on to this ice block. Down to 6%.
Wow.
Has to trade that. Now Gorecki caught into a full clone. Tempo Storm are looking to end this game. The block only up for 3 more seconds. They need to chain the CC a little bit longer onto Gorecki, but they don't have it. A nice wind shear to interrupt the clone. Now a turnaround onto Jamili. Blocks left and right from Tempo Storm and Method. Now they are running on basically nothing.
They are. It's all going to depend on the healer cooldowns at this point, as it doesn't look like Gorecki has a Spirit Link left. But look at Jamili still not being healed quite yet because of that deep lands, followed by a Shadow Fury, followed by a Fear with Starship having to trinket shortly earlier. But look at the damage onto Rosita Jones. Both mages are in trouble right now.
Yeah, Gorecki though, without that deep freeze for Gorecki, he's going to easily top him off. And now we can see Dampening is starting to play a factor. Damage flying out at Peekaboo. He has no Cloak of Shadows. We can see Method applying multiple pressure onto both Jamili and Peekaboo. Ice Nova is coming through. He's desperately spamming that feint. Starship is running on mana fumes right now. Nature Swiftness is about to come up here very shortly. He's at 9% mana though. How much longer can he deal with this pressure? Chanimals, Unbound Wills, triple Shadow Fury, looking to land a Fear. He chains that onto Starship, who has no trinket. Jamili has no blocks, and Peekaboo has no cloak. There's nothing standing between them and death. Starship desperately trying to get some heals out, and Method kind of dropping the ball. They're not chaining the CC onto Starship. Tempo Storm doing a great job to stabilize throughout.
Yeah, I was really expecting Method to close the game out right there with that CC onto Starship, and but with no defensive cooldowns out from Peekaboo and Jamili. And Jamili, block is actually going to come back up. Whoa, the damage switched onto Chanimals right there, who has to port away and is trying to desperately live with 3% health. The death from above comes crashing in, and Tempo Storm is going to take this 2-1 over Method. What an incredible series.
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't think Chanimals was expecting the swap, and now we can see Tempo Storm was mixing it up in the final game, letting Chanimals get Rosita has that invisibility. He's not even going to go for it, trying to go for some early Blizzard pressure to pull them out of stealth. Not finding them. Peekaboo moving forward. Are they going to go for the sap is the question. Starship positioned far back. Looks like they're taking their time, and they want to think through their target decision. Rosita blinks out of the cheap shot into a Garrote Silence. Gorecki pre-Windwalk Totem, line of sighting with Chanimals. They do not want to get crowd controlled. Death from above, chunking down Rosita to 40%, 37%. Gorecki getting full clone. Starship pushing up 19, 13%. That's going to be the first ice block so fast out from Method.
That was a good push right there by Tempo Storm, you know, forcing that block from Rosita Jones with the CC on top of Gorecki. And, you know, they used a decent amount of cooldowns, but they didn't even use Shadow Dance during that.
Yeah, definitely, and the Shadow Dance is still available. I wonder if he's going to go with that Hypothermia up. Deep Freeze not available for 3 seconds. They've got to wait for that, but I can appreciate Starship's bravery. Still going for that crowd control that he needs to get, and that clone already got an ice block, so if we can get a couple more, it could spell victory for them. We see Peekaboo getting pressured, and as a melee DPS, he's exposed here. Starship caught into it deep. I wonder if they can make the swap. Nope, it's going to be a full sheep. Smoke Bomb gets dropped onto Rosita with that Garrote Silence. He trinkets it, goes for the Blazing Speed, gets out immediately. Double Shadow Fury out from Chanimals to peel Jamili and Peekaboo's onslaught. But at this point, Peekaboo's been sitting on that Shadow Dance for so long, he's got to find an opportunity to go for it.
He definitely does, because he's not going to force anything out of the enemy team without using it just by himself. Okay, here we go. The Blind and the Shadow Dance is coming out with the Garrote onto Rosita Jones, who has the Hellstone, but his health didn't even move. Kidney shot, or Cheap Shot comes out with the Kidney onto Gorecki. A lot of damage, as I do believe that was a Link that went down, but it was already killed immediately, as both Chanimals, Gorecki, and Rosita Jones just getting so low on life already in this match.
Yeah, we can see, though, Method have stabilized, and once you've survived your opponent's attack, you go, go, go. They need to chain the CC onto Starship, the Deep Freeze into the the fear. A tiny bit of overlap. I wonder if that's going to cost them it. Chanimals needs to chain this fear. He tries to go for it. He gets locked out, but Jamili has to block. The Iron Bark overlapped as well. That's a very important cooldown to try and mitigate the incoming pressure slowly from Method's Warlock Chanimals. We see Gorecki in the back stabilizing his team, going for a preemptive healing rain, even that big blue circle on the ground, trying to get whatever healing he can when he does get put into crowd control. Deep Freeze is available for Jamili. I wonder if he's going to play aggressive here. He's still on hypo for a couple more seconds. We see Starship now pushing forward to the center map. They do not want to overextend into Method's clutches, though. They are reluctant. There it goes. Starship blinks in. They fully dot off Starship. I'm curious if they're going to make a swap, but Rosita's the one in trouble. Down at 36% HP. Has to use his second Ice Block, and Tempo Storm have taken a commanding cooldown lead.
They really have. The second Ice Block is down. You know, they're going to be able to push with the next Shadow Dance, which is what you should really be watching for. But look at the damage onto Jamili already, as he is going to try to hit some polymorphs, but it's not going to land as Gorecki is out of crowd control and is trying to heal his team up, you know, really using a LOS to his advantage. As you can see, even Chanimals having to pull back, even when he's on the offense with Dark Soul. As you can see, Rosita Jones getting really low. That forces the next Link out, even though there was no crowd control going on. Yeah,
Gorecki wanted to just get that Spirit Link down. He didn't have his trinket available, so he didn't want to risk getting crowd control, but the defense is available. Jamili's got to be careful, trading that block at 15%, and Starship is caught into a full fear. Chanimals and Rosita need to keep the CC chain going. Starship is going to trinket. He needs to get some hots up onto Jamili. Now both mages are out of ice blocks, and I think they're shortly going to be out of time. Gorecki having the advantage that his trinket is shortly coming up, but not for 5 more seconds. Can Rosita Jones stay alive? We see Chanimals in peel mode right now, spamming fear after fear. Rosita Jones trying to kite back, building up some icicles as well at the same time, but that Shadow Dance is an explosive start for Peekaboo. Is he going to be able to connect in time? He's actually getting pressured as he overextended there. He had to trade his Cloak of Shadows, and that time to strike, they managed to get Gorecki's trinket, but I think they were looking for the kill.
Yeah, they really were, and for Peekaboo to have to run away during that moment with its Shadow Dance and using that Cloak of Shadow, that was a scary moment for Starship because he was so far away from his rogue.
Yeah, definitely. If you're overextending like that while Starship doesn't have a trinket, he's exposed to the deep freeze of Rosita and that polymorph chain that will follow it up. And right now, Tempo Storm, they're looking to go for the offensive play. Gorecki caught in a deep freeze. Jamili gets locked on the poly. He's going for the Frost Jaw. He doesn't get it. He grounds it. Nice grounding out from Gorecki. Pops that Aura Mastery. Stabilizes his team. Now making a reversal onto Peekaboo. He's not going to have that Cloak of Shadows for quite some time. I'm curious if he's going to need to retreat here shortly. Polymorphs onto Jamili. Fears now as well. Starship running out of mana. Gorecki running out of mana. We're not even in dampening.
No, we're not. There's just so much damage from both teams. The crowd control is impeccable and everywhere. We haven't seen that like from his healer. He is just having to waddle his way on back to Gorecki. Gorecki standing just at 40 yards right there, which means his links aren't going to be available because he now has one ready. He's just not going to be able to use it without Rosita Jones having to blink backwards.
Yeah, both mages have a block available as we see a CC chain on the Starship. No cloak for 8 more seconds. Peekaboo needs to stay alive. Rosita going in for the kill. He smells blood in the water. Drain Soul is up. They want to end this. Dark Soul is popped down to 60%. Cloak just coming up, but Starship will save him with that Nature Swiftness, now using the cloak as well as Starship goes into that full fear. But a swap over to Jamili. He's got the Cold Snap available. He needs to pop it down to 20%. He's going to use that Ice Block and recover. A bit of a close call, but Starship holds onto his trinket.
Yeah, but look at Jamili just going immediately on the offense, not wanting to sit back and hide. But look at how healthy the team of Method is. We see the bash onto Chanimals as followed by a Cyclone, so that's great pressure coming out because the entire team is clean of dots at this point. So this is great that they're choosing to put the CC out on Chanimals because look, he still hasn't gotten any dots out.
Yeah, and Chanimals needs to get pressure rolling here. Jamili now finally has no blocks. Peekaboo has no cloak. The only cooldown standing between death is Starship's trinket, and he doesn't have very much to pair it with. He's just going to trade his trinket. He gets Shadow Fury'd on it, but Peekaboo is there for the setup with a blind on Gorecki into a full sap. Cheap shot onto Chanimal, into the Frostjaw. They're looking to get this last block from Rosita. He's down to 37%. The Iron Bark used from Starship to push in here and get that block down to 25%. They need to get it. They have to, and they're going to. Now, once again, we're in a situation where Rosita Jones has no blocks. Jamili has no blocks, and Peekaboo has no Cloak of Shadows to reduce the incoming damage on the next attack.
Yeah, but Rosita Jones' Cold Snap is coming up in 25 seconds. It means that Peekaboo needs to make something happen before then. But unfortunately, his Shadow Dance is going to come up after the Cold Snap. So they're just going to force their way on through to Rosita Jones, who has to gate away along with Gorecki. But wow, dropping the link, seeing the mid-air death from above, that was a great play by Gorecki.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Chanimals wasn't in it. They're still getting pressure, but at the same time, Starship is caught in a full fear. Jamili has no blocks left. He needs to go into retreat mode. Starship caught into a stun. Can they chain the CC? No, they can't. Nice kidney shot out from Peekaboo, denying Chanimals on that CC chain for Starship. Now Gorecki trying to recover from the situation. He's got his trinket available, but no Spirit Links, which his major cooldown as we see the Shadow Dance popped, but like you were saying, Rosita has that block available. Should he use it? Death from above, crits huge, down to 18%. He's going to trade that ice block. Gorecki trying to recover at this point. He has taken a substantial mana lead, and I'm curious if mana is going to play a factor here. Tempo Storm on retreat, maybe even going to try and look for a drink.
The thing is, they need to keep the pressure up if they want to get the mana, if they want to win the mana game, like you're saying, because Starship is down to 17%, and as long as they're staying offensive and they're putting damage out on both Peekaboo and Jamili, Starship isn't going to be able to drink. However, he did get a couple out, but look at this. The pressure they put onto Peekaboo made him stop drinking, which means he got a sip off.
Yeah, and they actually used the deep freeze on Peekaboo, so Starship had to instantly come back from his drink and use that Iron Bark. Nice trade for Rosita. Chanimals securing a full fear onto Starship. 9 more seconds on his trinket. They need to chain this CC a little bit longer, and they don't have the follow-up. Smoke Bomb getting dropped onto Rosita. He's trying to kite back to Gorecki, who has now a Trinket Spirit Link available. Method are taking a commanding position here. 20 more seconds on Jamili's block. Will it come up in time? Deep freeze on Starship's NS. He trinkets it. He gets the NS off just in time as we see a huge turnaround. Peekaboo popping the Shadow Nest. Rosita gets crit huge. Gorecki has to trinket, drops the Spirit Link to stabilize. Once again, Chanimals not in it though. If they can keep this pressure rolling, they might be able to take a kill. Maybe a swap over to Gorecki with that full kidney shot. Death from above comes crashing through. DR deep freeze onto Gorecki. They need to chain the CC. They need to chain it now. Rosita's got nothing left. That's a full poly. How is Rosita going to survive?
Yeah, but he does have the ring down. No, looks like they weren't able to land it as Rosita is really low. There we have the sap off of the poly. This is not looking good as Rosita Jones is down to 20% health. The Garrote followed by the kidney shot. There's so much CC going out into Gorecki. How is Rosita Jones still alive?
How are you alive right now, Rosita? You're down at 17% with a deep freeze onto Starship. Are they making a turnaround onto Jamili? He's got one block available. He's going to trade it. Unfortunately overlapped with the Iron Bark. Chanimals now popping Dark Soul, trying to rotate some counter pressure over to Peekaboo. They need to chain the CC again onto Starship. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to. Full kidney shot onto Rosita. No block for 50 seconds. Death from above is going to connect huge. Down at 30%. Gorecki trying to get some healing surges out right now. No counterspell available, but that Shadow Dance is going to secure this game.
Oh.
Tempo Storm are tying this series up 1-1.
Wow, what a game. So back and forth the entire game. I really loved that every time one.
Now, probably one of the most iconic raids of all time, and one of the most story relevant. Now, Icecrown Citadel was the final raid in Wrath of the Lich King, and also the fortress of the Lich King himself, which was the main villain at the time. Now, in my opinion, this is the only raid and maybe the only expansion so far where you actually had a feel you were fighting the Lich King and that he was a direct threat to the world and that every action against Artist kinda made an effect. So it was something completely different. You really just had this feel you were fighting a greater evil and there was an actual threat to the world. It wasn't just like in Cataclysm. Even though, for example, Deathwing was amazing, he still wasn't that much of a threat, even though lore-wise he was. But in Wrath of the Lich King, there was just this feel about it with Arthas, and the Icecrown Citadel was the peak of it. Now, just entering the Icecrown Citadel was amazing. You had all these giant skeletons and spiders defending the entrance, and then just like with Karazhan, you had this multiple floor thing, which leads to the final encounter, and that was the Lich King. Now, this isn't just a regular raid or just like a minor boss. This is Arthas, I mean the one who destroyed the entirety of Lordaeron and took over Northrend and made the Scourge to what it was, pretty much a major threat to the entire world and a force of its own, completely splitting apart from the Burning Legion. Now, ever since Warcraft 3, the story has just been building up, so it finally can be finished in this raid, and once you get to the top, you actually had the feeling you were at the top of the world and at the throne of the Lich King, the evil himself. And after a long fight together with Tirion, Arthas was finally defeated. And thus the entire storyline, which was one of the most important storylines in the entire Warcraft universe, finally ended.
King rules forever, my son.
I see only darkness before me.
And lastly, number 1, Ulduar. Now, the reason why this is number 1 on the list is because it matches all of these qualities that I've considered for this list. So mechanics, atmosphere, and the lore, and also the receival of the community. Now, it came out in a patch during Wrath of the Lich King expansion, and soon it turned out to be, as a lot of people call it, the peak of the World of Warcraft trading. Now, it is an ancient Titan complex located in Storm Peaks, and the entire thing is just an addition to the still ongoing story of the Titans and how they got to this world and how they pretty much made this world as it is. Now the raid itself though had multiple bosses, and every boss was just like a completely different thing. Now both mechanics wise and environment wise, and the entire thing felt like a part of something. It wasn't just like one of those raids or dungeons where you just go there, fight bosses, just standing there and waiting for you to attack them, and they aren't really nothing more than just obstacles that you have to complete in order to finish the raid. While in Ulduar it was completely different. I mean, you were fighting all these crazy bosses, these constructs, Titan Watchers, dragons, and all in their own chambers that matched the entire thing. And apart from that, it felt like it was made for the Titans. I mean, everything in Ulduar was giant, and you had all these massive doorways and walls that made you feel like an ant in the entire thing. And it was just something different and something that wasn't just a weekly grindfest, and hopefully there will be a raid like this in the future of the game that will be able to actually match the greatness of Ulduar.
Bran Bronzebeard's forces assaulted the gates of Ulduar. They battled the Iron Lords and their cursed minions.
Evasive action! Evasive action!
He won't stop talking about this presence he felt, permeating the great halls, stirring in their minds, chilling their blood. He said, the horror that the Titans imprisoned so long ago, Yogg-Saron has awakened.
So that is all I have for this list. Of course, this doesn't mean that the other raids sucked or anything like that. This is just my opinion on them from my own perspective. But anyways, which raids do you like the most and you thought were the best ones in the game? And also give some reasons why. And also don't forget to leave some